lesson right after lesson 240 in the workbook. So this is a introduction to the next set of workbook lessons. So in this part of the workbook, certain sections will have an introductory theme where it's setting the tone of the theme of the next few lessons to come. And the theme of this section to come is called, What is the World? What is the world? And so it's going to teach us what the world is, just in case you were ever wondering about that. And to me, it didn't sound anything like what I thought of as the world. Surprise, surprise. But it also teaches you, okay, if you know what the world is, then you know how to change it. If you know what the world is, then you'll know how to exchange it. So we're going to hear what the world is. Let me know if it surprises you in any way. Okay. The first sentence is, the world is false perception. That's what the world is. It's not a configuration of trees and rocks and people and things. The world is false perception. Okay, that's what it is. And that means that the world, as false perception, is born of error. The world came from error. Well, that explains a lot. The world came from error. The world is false perception. So when I look out into the world, and I look outside into the world, and I look around, what is it that I'm seeing? False perception. Whatever I see in the world is a false perception. I'm not really seeing what's really there. Then it says, that means the world is born of error, and the world has not left its error source. And the world will remain no longer than the thought that gave it birth is cherished. The world stays till when? Till the idea that gave it birth is no longer cherished. Okay? When the thought of separation has been changed to one of true forgiveness, then will your world be seen in quite another light, and a light which leads to truth, where all the world must disappear, which means all the world's errors vanish. All the world's errors vanish. When what? When the source of the world has left, when that error has been corrected. Wow, the world was born in error. Okay? Then it says, and what does it say about the source? It will remain no longer than the thought that gave it birth is cherished. What's the source of the world? It is the thought of separation. Where'd the world come from? Separation. Have you noticed? It's all about separation. When the thought of separation has been changed to one of true forgiveness, then what happens? What happens is you see the world in quite a different light. Wouldn't that be nice? Now you see the world in quite a different light. Once what? Once the idea of separation is replaced by forgiveness. So how do I replace the belief in separation, the error that this world came from? The world as I see it now came from the error of separation. I want to replace my belief in separation. There's only one way to do it. Forgiveness. See, forgiveness is the only way to replace the thought of separation, which is the source of the world as we see it now. But once you choose forgiveness over separateness, then you'll see your world in a different light. Your light will shine in a light that leads your life to truth. Sounds great. And then all the what? All your ego's errors vanish. You see the world in a different light. Now the world leads you to truth, and all your errors vanish. I would love to have all my errors vanish. I may not believe that's possible. That may seem outrageous to me, but I would like that. Wow. And it's saying all your errors vanish when you see the world in a different light, which you will when you decide, I just would rather have forgiveness than to be right. About being different, and about being better, or about being worse. All right. So the thought, the world is an error. Once that error is corrected, then something happens to the world. Okay, the kind of change I'd like to check out. The world was made as an attack on God. Screw you, God. I'll make up my own reality. The world, in that case, symbolizes fear. So what is this world a symbol of? Fear. The world is a symbol. And what is fear except love's absence? The world is a symbol of fear. What's fear? Love's absence. What is fear? Love's absence. I have fear. That's because love isn't around here. Because I told it to go away. Because I would rather judge and be right. So, love, I rejected love. I reject love, the only thing left, fear. And what this means is that the world was meant to be a place where God could not enter. That's what the world was made for. No God allowed. Stay out, God. I don't need your one love. I got some plans I'm trying to fulfill for myself. The world was made as a place where what? Where God could not enter. Don't need you, God. And the world was meant to be a place where we could be separate from God. Where's God when I need it? A place where God doesn't seem to enter, and where what? That where you seem to be separate from God. You know, God doesn't seem to be around here anywhere. God couldn't be around this neighborhood. God doesn't seem to be around here on earth. You know, like, where's God when you need him? The world was made to be a place where God could not enter, and also where we are forever separated from God by our unworthiness or our littleness. That's what the world was made for. Makes things have a little more sense. Now I understand why the world is as chaotic, murderous as it is. Because that's the purpose that it was made for. To make it seem like God doesn't exist. How could God exist? How could God be only love? How could God be real? Look at this world. Well, that's what the world was made for. To be a place where you'd go, look, you know God can't love you. Look at your life. God obviously ain't real. If he is, he ain't that powerful because look at the world. That's what it was for. All right. That explains a lot. All right. Then it says, here, so here in the place where God is not supposed to be, not allowed to be, in this place was perception born. Perception is born. You kick God out, God's not allowed, and you are forever separate from God and each other, and because of that, perception is born. Because knowledge could not cause such insane thoughts. So now, after knowledge is born, like a screaming baby, now it says, but eyes deceive, and ears hear falsely. Now mistakes become quite possible, for certainty has gone. Wow. I don't want God around. I only want to believe that I'm very distant from God and separate from others. And so now I have to develop some other senses. Now I have to develop some senses that will perceive illusions. Because I just said I wanted only illusions. So now I have eyes to see separateness, to see that God has abandoned our world. And now I have ears to hear falsely. I have ears to hear things like, you think God loves his children, his creation? Please, look at the world. How could God love his creation? How could God even know we're here? Now I have ears that hear that. Now I have eyes that see that and witness to that truth. What a coincidence. All right. Good to know what the world is. And also good to know about the senses, what our senses were made to perceive. It says, okay, right. Now, what happened was the mechanisms of illusions have been born. The mechanisms of illusions have been born. What are the mechanisms of illusions? My eyes, my ears, my touch, my body. And so now my body and all its senses, its mechanisms of illusion, now my senses go to find in the world what was given to my senses to seek. And my senses' aim is to fulfill the purpose which the world was made to witness and make real. So now the purpose of my eyes and ears and senses is to make real the illusion. To make real the purpose of the world, which is what? What was the purpose of the world? To make us believe that we were separate from God, that God doesn't want to be here, God's not here, God doesn't want to be, and that we must be separate from God and each other. That's the purpose of the world. And so now we have a body and senses and eyes and ears and touch and taste to go out into the world to prove that it's true. All right, good to know what I'm doing when I get up in the morning.
A self-confirming experiment.
Exactly. A self-confirming exercise. I'm now going to go out into the world and seek witnesses that I'm right about God being absent, God having abandoned me, and that I must be unworthy of God. I must be separate from him because look at the world. Okay, so that's what the world was made for, and that's what our senses and our body was made for. Then it says, and so that's why our senses, our eyes, and our ears hear in the world's illusions, but a solid base where truth exists, upheld apart from lies. Yet everything that our senses report is but illusion which is kept apart from truth. Woo! This will help you get honest with yourself. Because all your senses report before you give them over is what they were sent to find, which is proof of separateness, proof of being alone and on your own with every reason to be afraid. Okay, that's what they were made for. Now, but, dun dun dun, here's the good news. Even though we made this body and we made this world to have us separate from the source of love and joy and abundance forever, just like we made those senses in the bodies to witness to that, it says, but as sight was made to lead away from truth, sight can be redirected. Just like I made sight and hearing and touch to lead me away from truth, they can also be redirected to lead me toward the truth. So my sight, what I see, can now lead me to the truth. My sight used to just deceive me all the time. Anybody else found out, oh my God, what I thought I saw wasn't really there, to my horror. And now the ears, what the ears hear can be redirected. And now sounds can be redirected to the point where the sounds you hear become the call for God. Ha, sound. And all perception can be given a new purpose by the one whom God appointed Savior to the world. And all perception can be given a new purpose by the one whom God appointed Savior to the world. Okay, so my eyes, which were developed to deceive and have deceived me so good, Thank you, eyes, for doing very well the job I gave you. And so, because I gave you that job, my eyes deceived me beautifully every time. But now the purpose of my eyes can be redirected. Now the sounds that I hear is just the call, the call for God. Now all sounds, call for God, call for God, call for God. That is what you would hear if you were hearing correctly. Call for God, call for God, call for love. Everywhere you went, everywhere you looked, call for God, call for love. Love, love. And what your eyes see can be redirected. And then it says, so your senses can be given a new purpose by the one whom God appointed Savior to the world. My senses can be what? Given a new purpose. I give to my senses, all my senses, a new purpose. I give to all my senses a new purpose. All my senses, sight, hearing, taste, touch, all my senses, even my extrasensory senses. I give all my senses what? A new purpose. By who? By the one whom God appointed Savior to the world. Wow. Imagine that. All your senses serve that new purpose, that higher purpose, the purpose given by the one whose purpose is to save the world. So, it says, follow this Savior's light. Follow the light of the one whose purpose is to save the world. There's one within us whose purpose is to save the world, not destroy it like us, like our purpose. Obviously, we had a purpose to destroy the world. Within us is one whose purpose, who's been appointed to save the world. It says follow its light. Meaning see what it sees. See in its light. See only in its light. And also hear love's voice alone in all that speaks to you. See things only in the light of love and truth, Holy Spirit. Hear love's voice alone in everyone who speaks to you. This is what it means to give your senses a new purpose. Wow. Imagine that. With your eyes and ears and all your senses, all you see is the way the world looks through Spirit's eyes, in the light of Spirit's knowledge. And all you hear is love. I want love, love, love. Or the voice for love. The call for love or the voice for love.
Yeah, I was just thinking it harkens back exactly to the judgment of the Holy Spirit. You're either seeing love or hearing love or the call for it.
Exactly. But all you'll be seeing or hearing or feeling is love. It's either love or it's a call for love. When you give your senses over to the new purpose, the one purpose. The one purpose of the one who was appointed to save this planet, to save us from our own will to die. There's been a new prayer that I've been using when I become afraid. Like when it came to me first when I was hiking by myself and I was out there and I became afraid and of wild animals. And the prayer came to me, love. Please protect me from my own will to suffer and to die. Love, please protect me from my own will to suffer and to die. So not saying to love, save me, but hey, save me from my own desire to die. Which is being manifest in the fear that a mountain lion is going to come attack me. Which my ego is telling me I deserve. Because how dare you take a few days off and go hiking in the woods by yourself? You know you don't deserve that. So that's what we're asking for. So there is one whose job is to protect us, even from our own will to suffer and to die. And that's the one who's been appointed to save the world. Okay, so now our eyes are just going to look to see how the world looks to Holy Spirit. And now our ears are just going to hear either the voice for love or the call for love. Okay. Then it says, and then let this one in you give you peace and certainty which you threw away, but heaven has preserved for you. So what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to listen to the voice for the one whom God appointed to save the world. We're supposed to listen to his voice. We're supposed to let that one give us peace and certainty which we threw away. Voice for truth, give me peace and certainty. Show me how the world looks to you, that I may have peace and certainty which I threw away. But even though I threw away peace and certainty, guess what? Heaven has preserved them for me. Heaven has preserved the peace and the what? The peace and the certainty that I threw away. When I chose perception, I threw away knowledge. I threw away certainty. After perception, now all there is just subjective, just relative. There's no certainty. It's all subjective. It's all relative. It's all partial. Once perception was born. So this one in us who was appointed to save us from our own will to suffer and to die says, let it give you peace and certainty, which you have thrown away, because heaven has saved it for you. And so then it says, let us not rest content until the world has joined our changed perception. So don't rest until you have seen all the world aright, until all the world has been seen through the eyes of love and heard heard in the voice for love. Don't rest. Don't rest because the salvation of the world needs you. It says, so let us not rest content until the world has joined our changed perception, until all the world sees only love or call for love. Let us not be satisfied until forgiveness has been made complete. And let us not attempt to change our function. What's our function? We've got to save the world. Let us not change our function. Let us not be satisfied until all the world has been forgiven, until all the world has heard that they're innocent and they're forgiven. It's the same as saying, let us not attempt to change our function. We've got to save the world. And you know why we have to save the world? It's not because we're perfect, but we made the world. That's why we must save the world.
Clean up your mess.
Why is it we must save the world? Because we made the world. That's why. And so we who made the world have got to see the world through the eyes of love. You who made the world need to save the world, and you who made the world out of fear need to see the world through the eyes of love, through the eyes of Christ. What does this world look like? What does love see when love looks on this situation? What does this world look like to love? What does this situation look like to Christ? What does it look like? I would like to see this situation, this relationship, this world through the eyes of love. What would that look like? That's how you save the world that you made. Wow. We got to save it, not because we're so amazing, because we made it out of fear. And so the way that you save a world is you behold it through the eyes of love. You behold it through the eyes of love. And when you look at the eyes, behold the world the way love would behold the world. When you look at the world like that, with the eyes of Christ, then what happens is everything that was made to die here in the world that you're looking at, it is restored to everlasting life. But besides that, nothing much happens. when you look at the world through the eyes of perfect love, the mind that has only love, the Christ, then the world that was made to die, what seems to die, is restored to everlasting life. Not bad for a Monday evening. I looked at the world through the eyes of Christ in a holy instant, and the world, my world, that looked like it was dying, was restored to everlasting love, everlasting light, everlasting joy. Huh, not bad. All right. So, let's stop here for a moment and see what we just heard. Yes.
I always wondered why Jesus exaggerated and said it would be better for you to pluck your eyes out than to look upon somebody and lust after
Yes.
them or to let them cause you to sin.
Yeah,
But he was being literal
absolutely.
because we don't see with them. They
That's
deceive us.
Exactly. And if you were looking through the eyes of your Creator, if you were looking through the eyes of Christ, which is us who is awake, then all you would see is the glorious creation of a glorious Creator, and you could scarcely refrain from kneeling at the feet of that person. That's what you would be doing if you really saw people as love does, as their Creator does. You could only weep, or like be tempted to fall on your knees in honor. Wow. That lets me know I'm way far away from correct reception. But that's what the world, and that's what everyone in the world looks like to every child of God, every living creature. If you were to see the world through those eyes, you literally would be in heaven. Wow. And according to this, that's how you exchange your world of separation, abandonment, pain, lack, loss, fear, for the real world, where what you saw, the innocence and beauty of the beings around you that you saw, was heaven. That was heaven. That's how good it was. Wow. Yes, it shows me that I haven't really seen correctly yet. I've had holy instances where I felt that kind of love, for the world or for someone in the world. And I liked how it was saying that your divine indweller, your teacher that God gave you, that's within you, can absolutely, perfectly, and brilliantly, no problem whatsoever, use your eyes and your ears and any other part of your body, thank you, God, for the purpose of seeing what's really there, who's really there in front of you, what's really there in front of you, who's really there in front of you, and bring you heaven. That to me, that's comforting.
It's really arresting your eyes as being a projector as opposed
Yes.
to just only a perceiver.
Yes, exactly. An instrument.
Right.
Yeah.
Where the projection is really just thought that I desire to have this master, me.
Yeah, it's always me.
Master me.
Master me! Uh-oh, here comes Master me. Run, everybody hide. Yes, I like that when your eyes are being used to serve the original purpose of the world, the ego's purpose, then your eyes will be projectors. That's all they'll do. Project, 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 project. That's all they'll do. But when your eyes have been given to the higher purpose of looking upon the world like love looks upon the world, then your eyes become receivers or instruments. And they receive something that when it is received, it gives you heaven. gives you ecstasy.
So they're really neutral mechanisms as far as.
They are neutral
It's
mechanisms.
what we choose
Yes.
to use them for.
Exactly.
And you can't really, I mean, if you're using your eyes, then you're only, at best, seeing the shadow of the truth.
Absolutely. Exactly. You're seeing only what the physical mechanism of your eyeballs can register, which ain't that much. When you really start learning about that little mechanism, doesn't see all that much. Doesn't see as much as you think it does. And what it sees, we've learned, was false. We literally have only seen what wasn't there and what wasn't happening.
Because it's in the past. What you're seeing is in the past.
And because my eyes were made to see illusions, my eyes were not made to see anything but false perception. All my eyes see is false perception. Until my eyes are given over to the healer of the world, the savior of the world, to use.
There's a realization that I had many, many years ago that's right in line with this. The scientific fact that if the electromagnetic spectrum is this wide, the visible spectrum that our eyes are receptive to is thinner than a human hair.
Well, that puts it in perspective. That puts it in perspective, absolutely. I mean, the eyes were not made to see. They were made to do the opposite. Here we are, we think the eyes are responsible for seeing. But really, the eyes were made to be a mechanism of illusion. Wow. But, listen, the Course says anything that was made by the ego, even for total ego purposes, can still be used by the higher mind to achieve the exact opposite. Just like Billy's saying, it's totally neutral. They are neutral mechanisms. But right now they're not neutral. Right now they've been co-opted. They've been hijacked, by the ego.
And the practice for changing their function is forgiveness.
Thank you. That is the device. It is the mechanism, the device that your senses are changed in terms of their purpose, what they're wired to see. Forgiveness changes that wiring.
Your thoughts change, your senses change.
Yes, exactly. And according to this section, according to your purpose, as your purpose changes, what your senses perceive changes. And so that reminded me that all I really, really, really wanted to do, it made me say this prayer. The only purpose I want my senses and everything I see to serve is forgiveness. Now, every single one of my special relationships is for forgiveness. Every situation I'm in is for forgiveness. Every situation with my job is only for forgiveness. Every relationship is for forgiveness. Everything I look at is only for forgiveness. Everything I hear is only for the purpose of forgiveness. So that I could see and hear and perceive another world. One that was lit and that led me to truth, that led me to love, not more fear. I want to be in a world that leads me to more and more truth and peace. I want to experience a world where the longer I'm in it, honey, the worse it gets. And so now, in that holy instant, I dedicated every sense, every situation, every relationship to the purpose of forgiveness.
So I guess what I'm thinking about is the ego projects out what you hate about yourself.
Yep.
And then the senses confirm that perception.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I guess if you bring quantum physics into it, that you're actually altering the outcome.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You're
That's what
twisting the
quantum...
outcome to what you're trying to perceive.
That's the essence of quantum physics. That the moment that you observe something, you alter it, and it goes according to your expectation.
No idle thoughts.
No idle thoughts.
It's also
Exactly.
the source of our creative power.
And that's the source of our creative power. That's why we are so creative and powerful.
So phenomenal negative feedback loop.
Phenomenal negative feedback loop. The ultimate in a punishing feedback loop. A punishing, generating mechanism.
And the dash line's going,
Yes, exactly. And your pain and your suffering is your glaring clue. Hello? You hear that sound? You hear that alarm? Your pain and your suffering is that glaring alarm that's going off, going wrong perception, false perception, false perception. And then behind false perception is a ego purpose. And the ego purpose is any other purpose besides forgiveness. You either have a purpose to see love and be love, or you got a purpose to get love.
Right. Fill that wound hole by getting something.
Yes. Fill that empty hole with something outside of myself. Yes. You're either doing that or you're offering love.
Forgiveness has nothing to do with that.
That's right. That's right. And forgiveness is when you go, I think that I would rather give love than try to get some right now. Yes, I was trying to get some love, and I know because I'm suffering, I'm in pain, and I'm angry. Okay, I have check. That's how I know that my purpose was not to give love, be love, it was to get love.
I'm not forgiving nothing until I get an apology.
There you go. Well said, Egerts. When you really hear what the ego's saying, it really is funny. Wow.
So Anna, why did we create a false perception in a world of separation, in a world that we forbid God to come into?
Yeah.
So it's that tiny mad idea thing, but
Yes.
so what is your take on my question?
Yeah, that the world was made to be a place where God could not enter, and where we would always be separate from Him. We'd always be distant from Him, from God. So it was made to be that. And so why would we want to make a world like that? Why would we want to make a world, have a world where God could not enter, and we would always be too unworthy for Him?
what's
Is
the
that what you're
thought
asking?
that we forgot to laugh at?
Yeah, exactly. In my perception is that that we wanted a world where we could make up reality as we wanted, where we could retain the characteristics of creation, power, but with our own content. You know, we wanted to be God. We wanted to do it our own way, kind of like now. And if you can't relate to being in a state of mind where you were in the perfect completion, fulfillment of God forever, and then you were like, yeah, I think I'd like to go for some separation, where I don't have enough, and I'm always worried about losing, and I'm always afraid. I think I'll go for that with a body that needs lots of maintenance and then dies. In that moment, we forgot. And if you can't relate to having a moment like that, then just look no farther as right now, just 5 minutes ago, where we're always rejecting the one love that is given to everyone equally, so that you can have your own opinion and be right about it. I think that's how what I hear the Course saying is how that happened. That crazy mad idea.
Yeah, the temptation to be God ourselves, to be our own author.
Yes.
It's just part of the natural learning curve of all ascended beings somewhere along their evolution.
Funny you would say that, because your Rancha says that yes, the answer to that is yes.
So this is
And we're at the beginning.
This is
We're at the very beginning of that.
Low life form.
Things
that,
as normal, this is the way it's supposed to be. Figuring out what doesn't work.
that's exactly right. This is a natural part of the evolutionary cycle of the mortal mind as it takes its journey to the eternal mind, the mind that knows it's eternal. This is the progression. And this is, relative to where, what is the real world and what is available. This is very rudimentary. This is very basic, Like, don't trust your eyes.
Pray for a growing spurt.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Every day say, I give all my senses and my body to the purpose of forgiveness. Thank you very much. Even if you don't believe it, even if you don't believe it or accept it. So that you can evolve more quickly, so that you can progress. We don't want to be stuck in kindergarten forever. This is the first step toward making you going up through, up the classes, up the levels of learning. To what? To greater and greater and greater levels and worlds of joy and peace and creativity beyond your wildest imaginations at this moment. That's what's on the other side of this learning goal, this curriculum. And it all starts with a decision to forgive instead of be right. The decision to forgive instead of the decision to see differences or separateness between you and others and you and your Creator. Wow. Beautiful. All right. Oh, we have lots of time. Now I better check. My watch was wrong last time. Oh my goodness, it's only 8:25. It just seemed like we just did a lifetime worth of, I think we just collapsed a segment of time.
Thank you.
Feels good, huh? I think I need a cigarette. Drop the mic. Chink. All right.
What was the prayer that you were saying to yourself when you were...
I was saying when I was reading this, when I stopped reading, I said, I hereby give every one of my senses the sole purpose of forgiveness. I give every relationship, every special relationship I have, every relationship I have, I give to the purpose, and every situation that I'm in, I hereby officially give it the purpose of forgiveness. Even if I forget that. It hereby, everything that happens in my life from this point forward, every encounter, every situation, every relationship, hereby has the purpose of forgiveness, which is, we heard tonight, seeing the world through the eyes of love. Okay, love, what does this crazy person look like to you? What does this scary situation look like to you, love? I'm willing to see something beyond what my human eyes are showing me and telling me I should be really scared and really angry forever. That's what my human senses are telling me. I should be very scared and very angry forever. And I ask for you to show me your vision, what you see in this situation, in this relationship.
Well, it was the prayer that I was, that's a beautiful one, but the one that you were saying to yourself while you were taking your hike, it was something like,
Oh yes, that one, the prayer for protection.
yeah,
I
love
said-
save me from my own.
I said, love, please protect me from my own will to suffer and to die, my own desire for it, that I'm interpreting as wild animals out to get me, oh my, or oh, these people out to get me, oh my, oh, I'm afraid of storms and climate change. And what?
Big
Yes.
towns.
At certain times. Any other questions? How does it feel to hear these ideas? What kind of emotions do you feel?
nostalgic a little bit, like I've heard it and known it before and forgot it and
nice.
remembering it.
Oh, precious truth. Oh, thank you for not being too far behind. Yes, yeah, I feel that way a lot when I tune back into the Course. Oh, can't believe I forgot you. So, what was I thinking? Thinking I didn't need these ideas to have a peaceful life. Whew.
It makes me think of a lot of people I know, including my son, who doesn't have, I mean, he has all his senses in a sense, but not
The cognitive integration.
and how that people oftentimes, I mean, Helen Keller for one, how they evolve without their senses.
Yes. They evolved and developed another sense.
Right.
And that's what, thank you for saying that, because I saw that too in this lesson, that we're being taught to develop inner senses, which is the senses of spirit. Spirit, the spirit of healing, has senses too. It has a sensibilities. It can perceive also. Yeah.
Or the
Even
join-
without your eyes or your ears.
Or the joining of minds is a higher state than
Yes.
the joining of bodies.
Yes, exactly. You don't need your eyes or your ears to perceive reality. As a matter of fact, it actually helps a little if you close your eyes and your ears for a little while. It actually helps to see better and to hear better.
And to close your mouth.
Yes, and your mouth too. Yes.
Especially that one.
Especially that. Especially your mouth. Yes. And so forgiveness is aided, the Course says, by the holy instant. A holy instant is where you close your body's eyes, you shut down your body's ears for a moment, close your mouth, and then say, love, how the heck does this look to you? What do you see here? What's your vision? What would you see if you were looking through my eyes on this crazy this situation I judge as crazy and scary? Because that's why I made it. This situation is crazy and scary. Why? Because I made it that way. And forgiveness, the essence of forgiveness is like, oh, I made it this way. I wanted to see chaos. I wanted to see anger and fear in this situation. That's forgiveness in its essence. I made this situation so it would show me this. That's what the Course is saying. And that's forgiveness. All right, well then I'm going to read you the lesson that is the intro for. All right. Here is how you practice exactly what we just heard. Here's one way of doing it. This holy instant is salvation come. This holy instant is the real world come. This holy instant, the real world has come. What joy there is today. Why? Why is there joy today? Because today is a time of special celebration. Why is today a day of special celebration? Because today holds out the instant to the darkened world where the world's release is set. Today holds out the instant to the darkened world where the world's release is set. This day, the day has come. Today, the day has come when our sorrows pass away, which means pain is gone. Now the glory of salvation, the glory of release and liberation dawns today upon a world set free. And so this is the time of hope. Today, right now, is the time of hope for countless millions, not just me. And that's because countless millions will be united as I forgive them all. Countless millions will be what? United. Countless millions will be united today as I forgive them all. Why? Because I will be forgiven by you today. Love. Wow. Then it says, we have forgiven one another now, in this holy instant, now. And since we have forgiven one another right now in this holy instant, then so we come at last to you again. Father, your child, me, who never left, returns to heaven and his home. Me, I return now. Me who never left you, return to my home in you now. And how glad am I to have my sanity restored. How glad are we to have our sanity restored to us, which means how glad we are to remember that we all are one. Amen. Beautiful. I love how it says that this is the day where an instant is held out to the darkened world. Darkened world, here's an instant. We hold out an instant to the darkened world. But that instant does what? That instant holds, that instant that we hold out to the world, that's the instant where the world's release is set. That's when the world's liberation happens. When we hold out an instant to the world, to the darkened world. Wow. So that's how we do it. We practice the holy instant. That's
How we become the light of the world.
exactly. And that's
I love
forgiveness. That's forgiveness. I'm going to hold out the instant of complete forgiveness. I only got an instant, but apparently that's enough. But I'm going to hold out an instant of complete forgiveness to the world, to the darkened world. And then what happens to me after that instant, just an instant? My sanity is restored to me. Okay, I could use some of that. I could use that. In that moment, in that instant, my sanity is restored to me. I come back to my right mind. I come back to my unified mind, my sane mind, my loving mind. And so we say, this holy instant now is forgiveness come. Oh, forgiveness just came. In this holy instant, I forgive all the world. Everything in the world, everyone in the world, I forgive it all. Why? Because I remember that we all are one. That's forgiveness, and that's the end of the belief in separation that sourced this crazy, crazy planet. This holy instant. All right, well, shall we do something bizarre and practice the holy instant, you think? All right, if you insist. Oh, yes, please, Anna. Please. I love it. I just got a whole nother appreciation for what forgiveness really means and how you save a world. That is very practical knowledge in this day and time on this planet. How to save a planet, very practical knowledge. Very practical, especially now when you look upon the world and it just looks like it's going to hell in a handbasket. Good to have in your memory, oh, the way to save a world is to take a holy instant, to take a moment, and this moment offer all my senses to the purpose of complete forgiveness of everyone and everything in the world. All I have to do is for an instant. That's all I have to do? Okay, all right. Nice. That's how you save a world. Good to know it only takes an instant.
That's all I've got.
That's all I've got in my complete obsession with creating hell for myself. But at least it's mine. Maybe hell, but at least it's mine. That's what I'm busy doing. Too busy for an instant. But look how long it takes us to learn how to give one instant. We have to go to lots of meditation classes, lots of work, lots of practice for one instant. Oh well, that's very humbling, but you know, that's me making an honest appraisal of my own insanity. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to do announcements and do our love offering, and then I'll do the integration meditation. Yay.
I guess we need the basket.
Oh yeah. Oh, you see, Jim's not here, so perfect memory to appreciate Jim. Will you go look in the office and see if there's a basket? So Jim, I want us to remember Jim tonight and see Jim through the eyes of love. He is taking care of his mom, who has some bad days and some good days. Some days where she needs added protection, and so on those days he stays with her. So let us take a moment to remember with him and for him that he is sustained by the love of God and she is sustained by the love of God. And so happy that we are one with Jim and his mom. All right. Oh, and then my Transcendental Miracle Meditation class resumes this Wednesday here at the Miracle Center, along with my Urantia class, which also resumes. This will be class number 2. And they both resume this Wednesday here. And the Urantia class is from 6 to 7:15. The meditation class is from 7:30 to 9. So that's this Wednesday. All right. Okay. Any other burning questions or comments before we go on to actually doing the Holy Instant? Let's practice. Practicing the Holy Instant. So, all right. So close your eyes. Take a breath. Just take note of how it feels, how what you've heard tonight and what we've shared tonight feels in your body, in yourself, in your mind, and even in your brain. And the Course teaches us that our mind unifies and becomes integrated, which is the essence of mental health, when our mind decides to serve only one purpose instead of 2. So we unify our split minds, we integrate our split minds by deciding to dedicate our senses and our body and every relationship and every situation to forgiveness. Now that's the purpose of our body, all our senses, and the world itself. And the way that happens in practical, day-to-day encounters, how that purpose manifests itself is in each of our encounters and relationships and situations. That we give our eyes to love, and we give our ears to love, and we give our mouth to love. And we say to love, look upon the world through my eyes, hear the world through my ears, speak to the world, or not, through my mouth. Thy will, love, is my will, and only that. And we do this practice so that our sanity can be restored to us. And we say to the world, we say to the entire world, everything, every person, every living being in the world, we say, I am sorry. I am sorry that I projected you upon you instead of saw you. Please forgive me, world. Please forgive me, everyone and everything in the world. Thank you, world, for showing me what I wanted to see, what I sought. Thank you for doing as I asked. And I love you, world. I am so glad to remember, world, that we all are one. I'm willing to take my place among the healers of the world now. In this holy instant, I choose only forgiveness for all the world. I offer only forgiveness upon everyone and everything in the world. In this holy instant, where my will is one with love's. And then just rest back into the quiet center of your own being, feeling yourself now as a savior to the world, as a healer to the world. And beholding our world once more, we say, this is the world that it has been given me to save. And I accept my only mission now, to save the world I made. Thank you, God. And just sit with that for a moment. Sit with the power of your only mission, your holy mission. Feel your true value to the family of God. And then say yes. Beautiful. Way to practice the holy instant. Way to practice. Very nice. On behalf of the world, thank you. The world you just saved says thank you, thank you. They're saying, how can we ever repay you? Oh, let us try. And God himself thanks you for taking your place among the healers of God's children. So, not a bad way to spend a Monday night. Could be worse.
No.
You could be watching some TV. Not bad for a Monday night. Thank
Amen
you.
to that.
Amen to that. All right, I appreciate you saviors of the world. Honored to be working with you. All righty. May the force be with you.